8 Things You Didn't Know About Padre Pio. Saint Padre Pio marked the lives of people of his time with his prayers, confessions, conversions, and healings, so much so that to this day, his reputation for holiness is spoken of with fervor. With the simplicity and humility of a servant of God, he gathered crowds around him. People traveled miles, coming from neighboring countries to San Giovanni Rotondo, where he lived much of his priestly life. This priest, who was recognized as a saint even during his lifetime, passed away in 1968. The church where he exercised his priestly ministry was elevated to a sanctuary dedicated to him after his death. It continues to receive pilgrims from all over the world in increasing numbers. At this site, pilgrims can also visit his convent cell and the crypt that holds his incorrupt body. Pope Paul VI, speaking about Padre Pio, said that he attracted crowds not because he was wise or a philosopher, but because he humbly prayed to Massachusetts. Padre Pio, he insists, was a man of prayer and suffering. Want to understand better who Padre Pio was? Then learn about 8 facts about his life. Number 1. He spent hours in the confessional hearing confessions. Saint Padre Pio belonged to the order of Capuchin Friars Minor. Born in Italy in 1887, he was ordained a priest in 1910. He often dedicated many hours of the day and even the night to hearing the confessions of those touched by his words. Not infrequently, he stayed in the confessional for about 14 hours without leaving, not even to eat, due to the large crowd seeking him. This is why Pope John Paul II, who declared him a saint in 2002, said that Padre Pio was a generous dispenser of divine mercy. According to St. John Paul II, even when Padre Pio treated people with severity, his words had an effect. They, becoming aware of the gravity of sin and sincerely repenting, almost always returned for the peaceful embrace of sacramental forgiveness. Number 2. He had the gift of bilocation. Bilocation is a gift granted by God to mystics, meaning the simultaneous presence of a person in 2 different places. Padre Pio is one of the saints of the Church who was graced with this gift. Several eyewitnesses saw him in different places through bilocation, while he was simultaneously present in his religious community. On different occasions, he was seen in the United States, in Rome, in Milan, and places scattered throughout Europe, while he was actually in the convent of San Giovanni Rotondo. Number 3. He received the stigmata of Christ. We can say that one of the motivations for Padre Pio receiving the stigmata happened on the day of his priestly ordination. On that day, he prepared a small holy card as a memento in which he wrote by hand that he wanted to be like Jesus, a holy priest and a perfect victim. Soon after this, it was common for Padre Pio to offer himself to God to obtain the conversion of sinners and the purification of souls in purgatory. One day, in response to this, the Lord granted him the stigmata of Christ on his hands and feet while he was praying under a tree. Confused by those signs, he begged God for the visible signs to disappear, leaving only the pain, which happened for a few years. However, on the 20th of September, 1918, right after he celebrated Mass, the stigmata became visible again and remained so throughout his life until the eve of his death, when they miraculously disappeared. Number 4. Padre Pio had spiritual children. Throughout his priestly life, Padre Pio adopted several spiritual children who were faithful followers seeking his guidance and protection. He warned them to behave with dignity because he did not want to be ashamed before God. To his spiritual children, he wrote long letters, guiding them with the light of the Word and giving advice to help them excel on the path to holiness. Number 5. He endured great persecutions. Padre Pio's reputation for holiness was not viewed favorably by everyone. He was persecuted even by members of his order and the local bishop. Additionally, complaints and false accusations reached Rome, and at that time, the Holy Office condemned him. Padre Pio also suffered many attacks from the devil, who, knowing his gift for inspiring conversion, wanted to destroy him. However, he accepted these persecutions and trials with profound love for the church. Number 6. He had to live in seclusion for a time. Saint Padre Pio used to say about himself, "I am a simple friar who prays." However, from 1919, news of his stigmata spread quickly, significantly increasing the flow of pilgrims to his parish. The pressure on him was immense. Coupled with this were the false accusations and the hatred of some who were influenced by evil inspirations. As a result, in 1923, the church ordered Padre Pio to stop celebrating Mass publicly and hearing confessions. Thus, he spent 10 years in seclusion, and only in 1933 did he return to celebrating Mass publicly. The following year, he was granted permission to resume hearing confessions. Number 7. He had the gift of prophecy and warned St. John Paul II. When he was still a priest, St. John Paul II visited San Giovanni Rotondo to meet and confess to Padre Pio. To his surprise, Padre Pio prophesied that the young priest would become pope and also warned him, "I see blood and martyrdom in your life." Number 8. He built a hospital for the poor. In San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio founded a hospital that operates to this day. He accomplished this by raising donations after World War II. The hospital was inaugurated in 1956 under the name Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, House for the Relief of Suffering, and became a reference throughout Europe.